I read a comment the other day. Somebody said that even with medication, that ADHD destroyed their life, that even with medication, it's still very intense, and that they wouldn't wish it upon anyone. Somebody else responded on a short I posted yesterday sarcastically and said, yes, all of a sudden I am cured. I can do the tasks that I hate now. Something like that. And I thought about that for a minute, and then I realized that it's interesting how two people can be talking about the same thing, but experiencing different emotional realities. For most of my life, I struggled with ADHD. I had trouble focusing on any task that I had. I used to be so absent-minded. I would get lost in conversations. I lost keys. I lost wallets. I lost money. I lost random things out of nowhere. Like, my mind was always somewhere else. It was never in this time. It was never in the present moment. I am constantly thinking about other things. People are talking to me and I don't hear half the conversations. I'm watching something and I don't know what's going on. I was disorganized. ADHD has not been easy for me. I struggled in school. Scantrons were a problem for me. I would know the answer to a question and I would bubble the wrong answer. And I would be so frustrated and so mad at myself because I knew the answer. And I would fail the test even though I knew the answers. I was always the last to finish a test in school because it would take me forever. I am not somebody that's like all of a sudden like I've always known how to deal with ADHD. It's something that I had to learn. I had to start observing my patterns. At one point in life, after dealing with so much loss, so much anxiety, so many other things that have happened to me because of ADHD. Medications did not work for me either. I had to start observing my patterns because I would notice that whenever I had something that I was interested in, I could go on for hours. Why was it that I had such a hard time getting started on things that I wasn't interested in, but then the things that I was interested in, I could go on for hours, without even eating or going to the restroom. I could sit there and work on a task or something that I enjoy for hours and hours. And as I continued to do these type of work on myself, I started noticing that something is keeping me going, and I wanted to know what that something is. And it also helped that I started exercising more. I was always somebody that was always into exercising, so I picked up on my exercises. I started doing that more. I started doing yoga. And as I worked on myself and my eating habits, because, food affects ADHD more than we know. So I started clearing up the type of foods that I eat, exercised, doing yoga. And then I started learning about nervous system. When you search, when you look for answers, they find you, Somehow, some way, videos and like podcasts about the nervous system would start showing up on my feeds. So I started learning about how the nervous system affects ADHD in the brain. And yes, it affects everyone, but with us, those of us that have ADHD, it's tougher. We have more of a sensitive nervous system, and when it's not regulated, we can get out of control. We just can't focus. We can't get things done, and we are anxious. And for somebody who does not have ADHD, they may have their own issues, but it does not affect them like it does us. They still get their task done, whether it's boring or not. They still get it done. But for us, it takes a lot more effort. So as I started to observe my patterns more, I decided to get to know the nervous system, understand it a little better, and how it's affecting me. And what I did to regulate my nervous system was I started meditating more. I would do breath work. I would do yoga. I did a lot of humming. And I noticed when I did these things in the morning, I was more calm. It was easier for me to pay attention and focus and actually pay attention to what was going on around me. And as I'm regulating my nervous system and I'm doing that on a more consistent basis, I started having better ideas on what to do when it comes to getting things done. I started working with my brain more. I would tell myself things like, I'm going to start this task for 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes. And 30 minutes would lead to an hour, to 2 hours, to 3 hours. And next thing you know, I got my task done. And I noticed that was working. And if I wanted to exercise, even though I love exercising, there's days where I don't feel like doing it. But if I tell myself just I'm going to do a 5-minute exercise today. And I would end up doing more than 5 minutes exercise. I would go on longer. And as I got to know more about me, about how my brain works, and learning more and more, I realized that I used to quit on things that I didn't feel like was working. I would quit way sooner. I didn't give it time. I didn't really give it time to get results. I would try something new. I got to the middle of it. It got boring, and I quit. I would start businesses. I would start a new regimen or a new routine. Didn't see results right away. I quit. This time I said, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to stick with something, especially if it's something that I think is good, a new routine. I started staying with systems for at least 90 days before deciding on doing something else. And I also decided to change my environment whenever I'm working on something. I would go to libraries, coffee shops. Barnes and Nobles are my favorite. I do those things to keep me from getting distracted, because at home you can always find other things to distract you. But if you're at a library, your brain automatically thinks, okay, this is focus time, this is work time. And if I'm at home, I designate a specific area for work so that my brain understands, like, this is working time. It's not time to, do things that are not going to move me forward, snacking or watch TV or scrolling on my phone. No, this is working time. So try those things, see if they work for you. And what else did I do? I don't think in ADHD, I don't think in extremes anymore when it comes to ADHD. I just think of, okay, what's happening with my nervous system and how can I work with my brain instead of against it? You know what I mean? I'm not thinking like ADHD destroyed my life or that I'm cured. I'm just thinking more like, I understand now. I understand what this is, and now I can take control. I'm in control now, not my nervous system, not ADHD. The shift wasn't that it went away. It was that I finally understood. I finally understood my patterns, and I finally understood what was happening. And I decided no more. I'm going to do what I want to do, and nothing's going to stop me this time.